Welcome back to my home bar and brewery in our all-new series, Beer Chats by Altasciences, where good beer meets great conversation. I'm inviting colleagues and peers to sample some of my brews while we discuss drug development, business, and whatever else comes up. My first guest is Pete Varney, business consultant and drug development advisor to Altasciences, and one of my good friends for over 4 decades. So grab a pint, turn up the volume, and let's get to it. So Pete, welcome to my home bar.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I can't believe you actually live with a pub in your house. It's absolutely amazing. So we've known each other for an awful long time, haven't we? And I think we met at British Tox Society meetings all those years ago.
Yeah, 77, 78.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think we were rooting around at 3 o'clock in the morning looking for food in student accommodation. I seem to remember, yeah. And then we would have a drink locally whilst I knew you were interviewing my staff. But it's okay because we're good friends.
Yeah, and you gave me hell for being there. I remember that. Yeah. I've got an English bitter here, which is kind of my go-to, and I know from past history it's your go-to as well. And I think if Altasciences was a beer, it'd probably be that one. What do you think of this?
I think it's really nice.
It's a bitter. Yeah,
I like it. It's got a real edge to it, and it's got great taste, and I think it's delicious.
This is my go-to beer. I love this one.
It's a go-to regularly beer.
As often as I can, actually, yeah. I try not to before breakfast, though. What struck me most is that we had a lot of alignment in how we thought about the business and how others should have thought about the business, but we happened to work for them, right?
Yeah,
but maybe you could talk about Covance and how you got in there, because that's where you started, didn't it?
I started with Covance in 1978 and went into toxicology. It was the first thing that I started in terms of my career, and then that led to business development. I was responsible for large pharma at a certain time in my career, and then the interface with small and emerging pharma. It was particularly programmatic approaches. I got to understand really what made those people tick, what they were looking for from CROs. So pretty much the entire gamut of business development for a large CRO. And then I retired in 2018 and I was bored doing some private equity consulting, and I discovered your company. I couldn't believe it at the time. This was totally different. This was preclinical, CDMO, clinical, bioanalytical, a true drug development organization. And I thought, this looks really interesting. And I want to be involved in this in some way, shape or form.
It's good. I mean, I think that's what we've been trying to do with Altasciences, and it is a fast-changing environment. What trends have you seen as the business moved on, and more particularly what we're seeing now that probably weren't seeing in the past?
Well, the industry has changed out of all proportion, and we're seeing current trends include, things like weight loss drugs, new technologies, gene editing, new treatments for Alzheimer's, dementia, increasingly available information about the microbiome as well, artificial intelligence, consumer demand. I think people walking into their doctors now demanding brand names is an interesting development. But I think we ought to talk about changes in CROs as well, because it's not just the environment we serve, it's how our own industry has changed. And if you were to ask me what is the biggest change I've seen in recent years, and that's the movement of talent from the pharma industry and other industries into our segment. So we've got people now who are experts that potentially know more about a therapeutic area than potentially even the sponsors themselves. That puts us in a very different position with regard to how we can help them strategically.
What do you think are the biggest challenges? Because as it changes, and we've both seen that move towards those small mid-sized biotech type companies, how do you think that's changed the challenges for drug development?
Well, I think there are regulatory challenges, there are an increasing number of biologics. Many of the programs are bespoke now, it's not just the off-the-shelf type of offering. Patient recruitment is always going to be a big deal, particularly in late-stage clinical. Optimizing costs, increasing speed of development and efficiency. And I think that's the element that really plays to our industry, because I think that's where we can make the biggest impact for our sponsors in terms of gaining time, gaining expertise, and potentially reducing their costs internally by not needing quite so many people in terms of managing the process.
Yeah, it's a good point, and because that links with another question. What do CROs need to do, or what are CROs doing or not doing to try and adapt to that and take advantage of it?
Historically, CROs have always been used as arms and legs. We get the job done, we do the work. Now, with the talent that's coming into the industry, we can contribute as arms, legs, and heads. I think we can make a real contribution in terms of development for our clients. I think the focus is changing as well. We're going from more transactional relationships to more partnership relationships. People are seeing a value in longer term, enduring partnerships to deliver more value. Clearly, people can always do programs or single studies. The choice is theirs. But I think there's huge value to be able to linking some of these studies together and gain some real time. Time is, once it's gone forever. Money, you can always find more money, but time is critical. And I think the CROs these days can offer those time savings.
Do you have any thoughts on that balance between big pharma and small to mid-size? I mean, because that's kind of, is one getting bigger, is one getting smaller? Well, big pharma's cut back its early stage funding. Does that mean it's getting smaller? Is it changing? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there are signs that everybody's under the same pressure. Everybody needs to do more with the same or less resource. And it doesn't matter whether it's money for a small pharma company or it doesn't matter whether it's budgets for a big pharma. Everyone's under the same kind of pressure to deliver. And I think that's a huge opportunity for CROs. Just going back to this thought about the bigger guys, one of the temptations in the big CROs is there's some big ticket items in there. And it's very difficult sometimes to take your eye off the ball in terms of, if this is a phase 3 study in a cardiovascular outcome study and it's worth 150 million, it's very difficult for people to think about everything that goes behind it in terms of the program, rather than that just big, bright, shiny thing. And that can sometimes be a distraction. Smaller CROs tend not to have those distractions.
Yeah, true.
The needs of the large pharma, they're very much a departmental approach with procurement divisions looking for long-term deals. That's extremely different from an emerging company that's got 20 employees, 2 molecules, and limited cash. Their needs are very different. They need to be involved every step of the way in terms of that development program.
But it also means that the CRO at all levels can actually get involved and feel they're part of that same team. Because what was the most common question we used to get? I mean, I used to ask, what's this drug for? I'm doing all these studies, what's it for? The fact that we've got more and more clients want to come in and tell you about their molecule and they want you to share it.
It does require a slightly more involved relationship, closer, but the benefits are enormous. And I think that changes the model. I mentioned earlier about the private equity work I was doing when I discovered Altasciences. I thought Altasciences was more of a drug development organization than a CRO. And I think there are huge benefits in treating the drug development via that drug development mindset. I think it's important for both organizations, both our clients and our own employees. You imagine people are doing tests routinely, all sorts of different things in the drug development process. They could be weighing out materials, testing blood, looking for plasma levels, trying to recruit healthy volunteers. All of those things are tasks within an overall portfolio of developing a drug. And a drug development mentality is seeing this more of, I do these tasks, but what I'm actually doing is I'm finding a cure for Alzheimer's. That's very different, because people tend to take a pride in their work when they think of developing new medicines. They do a better job in that work, they'd make less mistakes, and they stick around longer. All of our clients would say those were desirable traits from their ideal CRO. And I think that's a big benefit of being seen as this drug development organization rather than doing tests. It's a different view, different perspective on the same situation.
So before we go on, are you up for trying another beer?
I think it'd be wrong not to.
It would be rude.
It would.
Let's go on to the IPA. And it's American IPA, which kind of covers a whole range of different things. But it's kind of a middle one, crisp. It's got some of those floral hops, but it's not loaded with hops. I think you're going to like it. Well, cheers. Here's number 2.
Cheers.
Of course.
Oh, that's fresher, isn't it?
American IPA, yeah.
Nice.
You can actually taste the citrusy. It's not real heavy on there, isn't it? But there's
and it's the sort of beer that would really improve after about 5 pints, I think.
Yeah, I think it would actually. Yeah.
And just as you fall over.
Yeah. It's nice. Crisp and clean.
Excellent.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So we consider this drinkable.
Indeed. Cheers.
Okay. So back to the questions. What do you? There's a lot of. We talked about big CROs, but there's an awful lot of small ones out there, and some you could describe as niche. Some are kind of just doing general, but there's a lot of niche ones.
Yeah.
What do you think about those, and whether we should compete, and if you think we should, how we should do that?
Yeah, I just don't see them in the same space as Altasciences. I see Altasciences as this bespoke, programmatic company that can take a drug from the left-hand side to the right-hand side And I think there are then some dangers in using multiple small CROs because I think they can be dilutive. I fail to see the point of being a small, nimble, agile biotech company using multiple CROs in terms of the resources that they're going to need to be able to deliver, when that potentially could come from a one-stop shop if the partnership was right.
I mean, it's kind of the reason Altasciences exists, because we felt that there's an awful lot of advantage just moving it piece to piece, and you get the whole thing done, and you save those handovers. Because I guess with the niche ones, it's all handovers, isn't it? And if they're small, they don't have the systems, the processes, so it seems to be faster, but it's slowing it down.
Absolutely. I think the speed is everything, that agility, and it's got to be easy to access. You need to make it in a form where you've got a program management function that is comfortable with a foot in all of those camps, so they can deliver. You make one phone call and you understand exactly where your program is at any point in time.
Well, if you were to sort of summarise it up and capture it, what would you say are Altasciences' strengths? I mean, strengths both in the drug development and in the competitive market.
Yeah, so I think that good listeners. I think Altasciences is right-sized. The big thing that jumps out at me, though, is the culture. The culture is terrific in Altasciences because it takes me back in 25 years when it was more of a family-orientated approach to looking after client companies. Everybody in the team knows the part that they play and where they come into the equation. That makes a huge difference, and I think sponsors can detect that. They can detect when it's a CRO that knows what it's doing and it's harmonious. They can detect that. So the strategic direction, I think, of Altasciences is absolutely perfect. I really do.
How would you summarise the differences?
Between large pharma and small?
Well, the needs, and the service requirements.
So I think this whole topic of partnerships is really critical for CROs. And I think partners mean different things to different client bases. If you look at big pharma, they're looking at contractual obligations and a long-term commitment, and that's fine. Small pharma, they're looking for partners, but I don't think if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't sign a contract saying I'm going to guarantee all this business. I would want to keep the pressure on to deliver. And so therefore you work together in a spirit of mutual cooperation, planning for success. Why would you move away if a company is delivering for you? And that keeps the relationship healthy, and it brings the best out of both organizations, including trust. I think Altasciences is in a great place to provide that. I think the culture is perfect for that. And I like this idea. All my working life, I've taken the view that you should take your responsibilities incredibly seriously, which I think Altasciences does, but not yourselves. And I think the culture is one of fun, enjoying yourself, and coming to do work with a smile on your face. And I think that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I could buy into that. I can't think of a day that I've woken up and not wanted to go into work because I didn't like work. The thing is, it's so addictive, this business, because it's always changing, and you can always take it to a new level, and it's such an exciting business. It's really hard to step away from it. Well, I think we're on a roll. You good for a third?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
I'm with you all the way. So this, the third beer, this is the stranger in the camp. This is the Castor one, which I think you'll find is very different. But I just think what you think about it. Let's have a taste.
Oh, it's nice, but you can already tell from the smell. It smells different. It's nice.
Yeah, a lot of hops in these. There's like seven different hops.
Very
in this
fruity.
thing, all American.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, but not that. What I like is not that overwhelming hops where you're almost drinking a glass of orange juice. It still tastes like beer, and there's a little bit of a bitterness to it, isn't there?
And it's a nice temperature as well, not like our ambient UK beers. It's good.
Yes, that's true. Actually, very much the American style, right? Okay.
So maybe I can ask a question of you, Chris. So what's the most surprising thing about your job that people wouldn't know in terms of going about your daily business?
Surprising is people think a CEO, and they were saying, oh, you're busy, you're making all these decisions. They think you come into work in the morning and you make lots of really big decisions. And actually, I can't remember the last really big decision I made, not because I procrastinate or anything, but because my job is actually to help others to make the best decisions or the biggest decisions. So I spend most of my days just talking to people, knowing what's going on and just asking questions. Because I think with management generally, you've got to get people wanting to do what needs to be done, not because you've told them, because they bought into it. So I say that's the biggest difference. You don't go in and sign off big checks and make big decisions. You're actually talking to other people about it and getting that made.
I think the biggest thing about you, Chris, is that you've been there and done it. Both of us started at very low levels in the industry and then gradually managed to rise up. So you pretty much understand the needs of every single person at every level in the company, which means that they've always got a question for you, but because you've been there, you know how to answer it and you know what makes those people tick.
It does actually make a big difference if you've been there and done it. I also think it makes a big difference if you've had some experience, even if you moved it to something totally different. I mean, look at you. You went from study director, and you did that, what, 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah,
like
7.
That? Yeah.
About 7.
Then you went into BD. That's got to set you up better for a BD, because there's so many of those. I mean, I've worked in them as well, where BD and operations are so separate.
Yeah.
But at least it brings them together. And we've got a number of examples, and we've done quite a lot of that.
If you think that our business is oranges and lemons, and if you have people that don't understand that business, they go out and sell a grapefruit. And all of the problems that then causes of trying to deliver that grapefruit, having people that understand the business on the front line, client facing, I think makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And let's twist that around a bit. What's the most important lesson you've learned through your career?
I think it's dealing with people. People have insecurities and they have needs, and it's getting out of my world and into their world. That is the most important thing. Seeing it not as a person from the CRO industry, but actually pretending I'm a CEO of a biotech company or I'm head of a therapeutic group in a big pharma. Just seeing their perspective in the world and what makes them tick and what they require. You have to understand their problems to be able to solve those problems and help them achieve those strategic goals. I think that's the most important thing. Okay, left field question for you. Your hobbies outside of work, any of those had taught you any lessons about your work life? Any learnings there?
I think there's 2 hobbies. I mean, one of them is working on cars. I mean, I've worked on cars since I was 17, and I'm getting back into it. I love old cars. Spanner work, thinking about it, out of the box, putting things together. But your drive is to create something, and it's got to be meticulous, it's got to be right. There's no point having a loose bolt and then going out on the road. So it teaches you about completion and detail.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'd say is brewing. Brewing beer is a scientific thing. You can talk about yeasts and you can talk about how you do your starch and it ferments, which is really boring. Yeah. But if you actually talk about the process, I get these grains, I grind them up and I put them in and I heat it up and I move it around.
That's my kind of science.
Exciting, exactly. And it taught me a lesson that you've got to be able to explain things to people in a way that they can understand and get enthusiastic about it. What about you?
A lot of learnings. To be honest, as I get older, some of the simpler things in life I derive pleasure from. I love, being in my garden, seeing things grow, investing in seeds and watching them germinate and watching, getting lettuces and salad crops and all these things from a garden. It's the simple stuff I really enjoy these days. I like the reward of that. I like to see that growth. I feel the urge to try and help other people in that here we are, we've got 40 years experience or more each in this industry. And I do feel it's nice to help some other people, maybe not make the same mistakes that we made, maybe help them on their way, and just that's going to be a legacy. And I hope we can help some other people as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And every client has a different story about what they're doing, and it's just captivating, I think.
And a different way of doing it as well, different approach.
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting.
So, last question for you. For the next installment of Beer Chats, who would be the celebrity you'd most like to have a beer with?
There's so many guitar players. But actually, I think, and it really goes back to you. I would ask David Attenborough.
Do you know, that's amazing. That was the person I was thinking of as well. He's really? Absolutely. Well, that's unbelievable. That's ridiculous. Because I thought exactly the same thing.
Really?
And because he provided all of the interest in nature and animals for me as a kid, that's why I decided to go to university and study biology. And yet, 60 years on, he's my daughter's favourite person. She's a vet now, and he's gone across all of those years and those generations, and he's still the guy to go to. His effect on this planet has been amazing.
But you must have read the books that he wrote.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we might be related.
Cheers.
So I can't ask you that question back because it's the same question, right?
I can't believe that.
You should join me and David Attenborough for the next beer chat.
We've only ever had one good idea in our lives. It was the same one. So frustrating.
Well, we've come to the end of the last of the beers, so cheers.
Been an absolute pleasure.
Really real pleasure from my point. Just, I mean, we sit down so often, but to actually do this in a more formal, well, it's not really formal, it's informal, but it's just really nice. And thanks so much for helping us. And I look forward to many more years of working together.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And we're going to do this on a weekly basis from now on. Is that right?
Sounds good to me.
Cheers once again.